Hey everybody, Everyman prepping here, and hope you're having a great Friday. And the United States, they kicked the hornet's nest. They did it, well, along with UK too, I guess. But they, did their missile attack on Yemen and the Houthis last night. Pretty sure most of you have heard, but I got some analysis of it that I don't know if you've heard today. Some of my own opinions of what I think might be going on. But they went in there, did some launches from air, sea, submarine even was involved. All that great stuff. Like I said, well, it wasn't that big of an attack, and that's one of the things I want to get into. And we also have many other stories to go through. It's a very busy news day, so let's go ahead and get started here. This says here, the Houthis undeterred after U.S. coalition pummels over 60 targets with Tomahawk missiles and airstrikes. Speaking of that really quick, the Tomahawk missiles, there's a report that one of the subs that participated used half their storage or half their allotment or supply of Tomahawk missiles in this one attack. So maybe they have one more attack in them. And as I mentioned, very hard to resupply. They have to go all the way back to a U.S. port to get supplied with more Tomahawks because you can't just do that at sea or in a foreign port. So like I said, the United States is probably going to run out of weapons and missiles and all that before Yemen runs out of drones and their ballistic missiles, their anti-ship missiles, and of course their people. And we'll get into more of that in a minute. But let's see what it says here. Houthi spokesman, Brigadier General Yahi Sari, he put out a videotape earlier today saying the American and British enemy bear full responsibility for its criminal aggression against the Yemeni people, and it will not go unanswered or unpunished. As of recording this video on Friday afternoon, we haven't heard anything yet about a Yemeni response. They haven't done much or anything. We'll have to wait and see. Wait for that other shoe to drop. I fully expect them to do something. In fact, the United States, they put out, well, we fully expect Yemen to do something. We expect them to go back. So are they basically saying their little attack last night was a failure? They didn't, stop the aggression. They didn't scare them off. So what was the use of last night? We'll talk about that too in a minute. Over 70 strikes across 5 regions, 100 missiles of different varieties. They hit command and control nodes, munition depots, launching systems, production facilities, air defense, radar systems, and more. At least that's what they're saying. Because you know what you haven't seen? You haven't seen any photos, like of going into Gaza. The IDF puts out photos in black and white of, shots from the missile or shots from the planes. You can see the bombs hitting, exploding buildings. There's been none of that released by the Pentagon. There's no battle damage assessment. So what did they really hit? That's my question. That's one of the things, too. This is going back onto the official Houthi statement. And it goes on to say that, they hit the areas of Hodedai, Taiz, Haija, and Sadah. They said, this is from Yemen now, they killed 5 people. They call them martyrs over there. And they injured 6 other ones. And, of course, they'll say they'll pay for it. These are the areas that were struck. You can see this real quickly. You can see the little bomb symbols. Those are the areas that were struck. The Houthis of Yemen basically control this part. This is the capital of Yemen. That's Sinai, I guess, it's pronounced. And this, of course, is the Red Sea. And down here is where all the attacks on ships have been happening. If you want to see some photos really quick, here we have some jets taken off from the aircraft carrier. There's one of the destroyers that shot some Tomahawks, another jet, and more cool photos of them. There are a lot of these cool photos produced by the Pentagon, but like I said, no damage photos, no battle assessment, no missile, no Tomahawk video, nothing. So, did they really hit anything? Who knows? They did, pound sand maybe. This is a video here you'll be able to see of, so let me expand it here. Might as well take the full screen. These are, what they're saying is from video from last night is something being hit in Yemen, going down. But, I knew, and I was telling you guys both on X and on YouTube, on the community post, that the attack was coming. I knew 4 or 5 hours ahead of time. Thus, Yemen obviously knew hours ahead, and they have such a huge population and, manpower out there that they had enough time. Who's to say they just didn't put everything underground? Their ammo storage, their radar sites, take all the sensitive equipment out, bury it, hide it, put it somewhere else, relocate, get everybody out of harm's way. They had plenty of time to do that. Plenty of manpower to, get that stuff done. Because I want to show you this. This is today. This is a rally they had. This is like 2 million people, they say. They came out saying, we're pissed off. We're going to fight the Americans and British back. We're going to hit you more. We're going to attack more ships. We're going to sink a naval ship, all that stuff. So, yeah, with that kind of support, you can definitely have the manpower to, move your equipment out of the way. and make sure it's not getting bombed. In fact, one report is saying the U.S. kind of told Yemen and the Houthis that they're going to attack just so there wouldn't be any escalation to more war. It kind of reminds me of when Soleimani was killed during the Trump administration and Iran wanted to have retribution, so the U.S. kind of let them launch missiles at an U.S.-Iraqi base, base in Iraq. They kind of say, yeah, go ahead and attack it, don't do too much. That way you save face, we're good with it, and the war doesn't escalate. Kind of get the same sense here. The United States is like, hey, we're going to kind of bomb you, so we save face. Please don't attack us a lot more, and then we'll call it good, right? I don't think Yemen's going to go for that, but I got the feeling that's kind of what happened here. We shall see. We shall see what Yemen does. We haven't heard anything yet, but there's not even been any claims of damage. The Pentagon loves claiming how much damage they did, what they killed, all that stuff. I haven't heard anything out. There were reports like this one that said that they did hit a ship in retaliation. There's been no confirmation from the Pentagon or from London, it says here, about anything, so that could just be hyperbole. I don't believe either side on what they say they hit. I'm just waiting for Yemen to hit back. So this also came out yesterday that I don't think it was a response to this happening, the bombing we did, but it kind of put it on the back burner so no one paid attention to it. So Iran basically seized back one of their vessels. Now this says a U.S.-controlled oil tanker, but this oil tanker was actually stolen from Iran by the United States when it was, I think, off the Gulf Coast, maybe near Houston, around there somewhere, I think. Don't quote me on that. But we seized the vessel, took the 1 million barrels of oil off it, and then we gave it to some company and said, why don't you go back to Persian Gulf and load up more oil? Well, when they did that, Iran basically took it back. So I don't know if you can seize your own equipment back, if that's really considered a bad thing. But if we load this up, you can see that helicopters. Let me just speed it up a little bit over here. They landed on the ship, just like the Houthis did, and they took it back over. Once the attack happened on the Yemeni mainland, this kind of blew over. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but when that attack started on Yemen, nobody, let me just move my tabs around here a little bit, nobody in the mainstream media put it out. It was, let me get, there we go. It was stone quiet for a long time, for hours after the attack happened. Then finally, the Foxes and the CNNs, they started putting it up. But before then, people like me and you were knew about it because I was putting the post out, and other people, other creators putting things out. But if you were on the mainstream and just a normie out there, you had no idea for a few hours. Then all of a sudden, someone okayed the mainstream media to go off and do it, and that's what they did. So that's what's going on over there in Yemen. Basically, no idea if anything was really damaged. The U.S. is hoping the Yemen doesn't really strike back, but I think they will. And will they hit the homeland? Will Hezbollah really, kick off against Israel? We're waiting to see for all that to happen. But let's talk more about what might happen on the homeland here in a minute. Let's go into some other stories now. Let's go with some other news we got here. We have Dmitry Medvedev. He came out with a statement. Basically, Rishi Sunak met in Kiev, and they're going to give him a historic, huge security cooperation package coming up. And what he says basically is, down here in the last paragraph, this is a quote, and I also hope that our arch enemies, the impudent British, understand that officially stationing their troops in Ukraine would mean a declaration of war against our country. So Dmitry Medvedev basically saying, hey, UK, you put troops in Ukraine, you're going to declare war on us. So that happened today. This looks like, the next World War Z movie coming out, right? That's like some scenes from that. But no, it is not that. It is Papua New Guinea, right here. They declared a state of emergency after at least 16 people were killed in riots sparked by a police protest over a glitch in pay. Now, as you can see, people are just running wild, going crazy. Let me just pause it here. It reminds me of what happened in Ecuador just a few days ago and still ongoing. You got the cartels running wild in the country, shooting, killing people, taking prisoners, all that. So that's the second country that's kind of done that. You had the October 7th Hamas attacks in Israel. People are full of anger, setting a lot of things off. There's a lot of anger out there. A lot of things are setting people off in different countries for different reasons. And like I've pointed out before, we've had a very porous border. And there's a lot of people here that, don't hold a lot of allegiance to the United States. So could this creep into our country? I think it definitely could. That's why you always got to stay alert, stay alive, keep the head on a swivel, all that stuff. But what happened here in Ecuador, and also Papua New Guinea reminds me of the movie New Order, and you should definitely check it out. It's about Mexico. It's something in Mexico where this happens, where the poor people in Mexico riot against the rich. They go after a very rich wedding going on. They're killing the rich. They're taking them hostage. It's very dark. It's not a happy ending movie, but it's very cold. It'll slap you in the face, but it's a very good movie you should watch, just to have the reality of what might happen, could happen, or is happening in Papua New Guinea. So it's in Spanish, because like I said, it has a Mexican director and all that. So if you can't understand Spanish, you have to read the subtitles, but it was no problem. It was a good couple hours, very entertaining. I wouldn't say entertaining, very intriguing, but very dark movie. But definitely suggest you check that out. Moving on from that, we have this going on in Argentina. So in Buenos Aires, the locals are picking through fruit and vegetable waste, dumpster diving basically, because the inflation is so high they can't afford food. So they're going into dumpsters here, as you can see. I'll start it up, and they're trying to get whatever fresh food they can. This must be maybe in a better part of the city where there's higher end people have more money, so the fruit and vegetables go bad and they toss a lot of them out. Well, the other poor people are picking them out. Some of the stuff doesn't look too bad. I mean, this lettuce coming out of here, that doesn't look too bad. I mean, I can see why, some people, if you can't afford it, you're going to go after that. So if you prep, did these people prepared? Has it been going on too long? But if you prepping, you have your own garden, you might not have to dumpster dive. That's why we push grow your own food, grow whatever you can. So maybe you're not end up like this and you're not ended up dumpster diving. Now, if the situation goes on for a prolonged period of time, like in Argentina here, don't put it above yourself to go dumpster diving. You have to do what you have to do. So, these people are doing what they got to do, and they're dumpster diving. They're surviving. They're doing what they have to. So, preparing helps alleviate this issue for a while. Long term, hey, you might have to do the same thing. So, keep that in mind when you're prepping. You're going to do stuff you never thought you would have to, and other people are going to do things you never thought they would either. And I'm not just talking about dumpster diving. I'm talking about kind of self-defense type issues here. If you know what I'm getting at there. Now, that's with the inflation going on there. Let's look at the economy of the United States really quickly here. What do we have here? We have the Dow Jones, with the attack. Sometimes it, affects the markets. Kind of flat. The Dow's down. S&P and NASDAQ kind of flat. But you think oil would be spiking, going through the roof because, well, heck, we just, basically started another war in Yemen, and we still have Israel doing its thing, and you have Iran. They just took over a tanker ship. But no, oil's not doing anything. It's what, 74 cents, 93 cents on the Brent crude? I can't explain what oil's doing. I would thought it'd be around $100 by this time, by everything going on, but it's not. So is it being manipulated? I don't know. You got financial people saying that people are pricing in the recession. I don't know if I buy that. I just find it highly suspect, really suspect, that you move 74 cents on a day where you had an attack in a Gulf nation, basically. So, got to keep our eye on this. That's very strange. Gold and silver having a good day, though. Gold's up 1.7%, silver up 2.8%. Like I said, get those commodities, get those precious metals if you can, get something, because as our own inflation peaks up, this is where you're going to need to be. Speaking of that inflation in Argentina, according to CNBC, they said that we're having deflation here. And there's prices that fell in December of 2023. It even tells you deflation is when prices fall outright for goods and services. We're going to see what they say. Then you can tell me in the comments below what you think. If you've seen the same deflation that they say, or they're just if they're trying to just manipulate the people to get them to believe that there's deflation. So they said, this is from last year. So compare December 2023 to December 2022. Eggs down almost 24%. I would say they're down. I don't think they're down that much. Lettuce, tomatoes, apples. Basically, any food thing that I can look on here hasn't gone down at all. They're saying all those are down. You can see the chart here. If you want to pause the video and look at it more, you can. Butter down. I don't think so. Definitely no. Fresh whole milk down 2%. No. Mine's gone up, and it stayed up. I haven't seen any deflation, especially in food items. Fuel. Gas, maybe a little. I'd have to check my numbers. Gas, there might be. I don't think it's going to be down 14%. Don't believe that at all. And no propane for myself. I just reloaded the propane. I paid about what I did a year ago. Definitely not now down. So there's your gasoline price right there. Health insurance. I'm not sure how they calculate this. I know it's strange. It has to do with how many people are going to hospitals and the emergency rooms and who's paying for it and all that. No way I believe that. My health insurance is up again, not down. Car and truck rental, televisions. Go ahead and check out the rest of this list. Right down below, if you're seeing, lower prices now than a year ago, or if you're experiencing more. I'm experiencing more, but maybe I'm one off. So I got to believe that this is just trying to con the U.S. populace into believing that things are better than they actually are, which goes to this chart right here. Inflation in the 70s came in 3 waves. And you can see here we had the first wave in the early 70s, second wave mid-70s, third wave beginning of the 80s. And what this gentleman did, the chart says, you are here. We had our first wave. And you can see the second wave and the third wave go up higher each time. A lot of people think we've bottomed with the CPI number coming out being a little higher. And we're going to hit this second wave and go up a lot higher. So, might happen. I think it'll happen. It's going to happen after probably March or so when they start lowering the Fed rates. If they do and the banks start running out of money, they're going to start printing. You're going to see inflation. So, before this happens, buy what you can with the dollars you have, because your dollars are going to be worth less here and they're going to be worth even less here. So, don't let them stand around. Now, this is not financial advice again, just something that I would do. And going into the economy is not doing that great. We see here that U.S. bank Citigroup is going to cut 20,000 jobs in the medium term. 20,000 people in the banking sector, and they want you to think that the economy is doing great. So keep that in mind. Also, Texas National Guard has taken over 2 or 3 borders crossing areas from the federal government, from the Border Patrol. One of them is the Eagle Pass, or says from the Eagle Pass mayor. This is not something that we wanted or asked for as a city, and that's being flooded with migrants. But what they did is the Texas National Guard, and you can kind of see a video here of how many people they went, and they kicked the Border Patrol out. Now the Department of Justice wants to threaten them or sue them. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if Texas stays strong. Is the federal government going to call this an insurrection? Are we going to have the Feds show up and try to kick the Texas National Guard off? There's going to be a standoff. I don't know. Very interesting. Keep your eye on this. Are we headed towards the national divorce? Is Texas going to be kind of leading the charge to their own independence? We shall see. And then lastly, don't forget, tomorrow, the 13th of January, we have the elections in Taiwan. And China put out that they warn in the U.S., do not try to manipulate the upcoming Taiwan elections. Well, the U.S. would never manipulate an election. I don't know why they'd have to say that. We would never do anything like that, either at home or abroad. Especially abroad, we would never interfere, right? And it says, as the Secretary of State Blinken plans a trip to Taipei, which is the capital of Taiwan. And it says, the results of the election may determine if China invades or not. Definitely true. I think if they elect the pro-independence guy, you're going to see the ramp up of China even further. So that is the last thing I have. I know it was a lot to take in. If you have any questions, put it down below. Please like the video, share it with anybody you think would like some of this news, subscribe to the channel, all that great stuff. And until next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.